Alright, today we're going to be looking at what is density, and we're going to be able to figure out what its definition is and how to calculate density. So when you're looking at density, you're looking at how much matter it contains. Or you can say that it's going to be mass per unit of volume. And since we're looking at the mass per unit of volume for density, that means its SI unit that you're going to place at the end of your answers is going to be grams per centimeters cubed or grams per milliliter. Now when you're looking at your density, you can determine if something is going to sink or float in water. Because we know that the density of water is 1 gram per milliliter. So if we look at it, the density of the object compared to that information of 1 gram per milliliter, we see that if it's greater than 1 gram per milliliter, then the object is going to sink. If it's less than 1 gram per milliliter, then the object is going to float. Alright, so you can determine if something's going to sink or float if it's based on its density, because if it's greater than 1, it's going to sink. If it's less than 1, it's going to float. Now, when we are solving for density, there's specific steps that we're going to follow in order to solve for density. So we're going to have steps to solving. And these are the steps that we're always going to use when we're solving for any of the equations in here. So step 1 is to list the variables. Step 2 is to write the original equation. Step 3 is your equation, which means that you've substituted in the numbers. Step 4 is to solve. So plug it into your calculators to solve. Step 5 is to write your answer. Okay, write your answer. And you're going to round to the nearest tenth or hundredth. So either 2 numbers after the decimal place or 1 number after the decimal place. Then you're going to write your units. And then your last step is to circle / highlight your answer. Alright, so if you want to use a highlighter to show what your final answer is, you can do that. If you don't have a highlighter, then you'll circle your final answer. Now, on your formula sheet, we're going to fill in what the formula is for density. So you need to get out your reference sheets, and you're going to flip to the very last page. And we're going to start with number 1, because it's going to be our first formula here. So our term is going to be density. For the equations, we're going to have D equals M divided by V, so density equals mass divided by volume. Mass equals D times V, so you're going to be multiplying. Or for volume, it's going to be mass divided by density. Alright, so this way you have all 3 of the equations, so you know if you're solving for the different variables what your equation is going to be. So over here we're going to have D for density, which will be grams per centimeter cubed or grams per milliliter. M is going to be your mass which is going to be just grams, and volume, which is V, is going to be centimeters cubed or milliliters. Okay, so when you are looking, you have what each variable is, and you have the possible units that you're going to be using to solve for density. So make sure you write this on your formula sheet so that you have it. Now, I'm going to do a couple examples. And those examples are going to be from your book. All right, so we're going to look at page 54. That's where I'm getting these examples from. And we're going to look at number 1. So my first thing is to list my variables. What do I have known? Well, we find out that the mass is 16.52 grams and the volume is 2.26 centimeters cubed. All right, I know it's mass because it's grams, and I know this is volume because it's centimeters cubed. So I'm solving for density. So mass divided by volume. There's my original equation, step 2. 16.52 grams divided by 2.26 centimeters cubed. All right, so I substitute my numbers into the equation. And then I'm going to take my calculator and put 16.52 divided by 2.26 to get my answer. In this case, I'm going to get 7.31, and I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth. And I'm going to have grams per centimeter cubed because nothing cancels out. Nothing's the same on top and bottom. And then I'm going to circle my answer or box it off there so you know what my answer is. Okay, number 2. Start by listing what my variables are. It tells me my mass is 163 grams. My volume is 50 centimeters cubed. So in this case, again, I'm solving for density, so mass divided by volume. So I'm going to substitute 163 grams divided by 50 centimeters cubed. So again, put that into my calculator, 163 divided by 50 to give me 3.26 grams per centimeter cubed. Okay, so again, I rounded, well, this one I didn't have to round because it came out to what it was B. This one I rounded to the nearest hundredth. Now the last one switches it up a little bit. Number 3 says my density is 11.3 grams per centimeter cubed, and my volume is 6.7 centimeters cubed. So in this case, we're now solving for mass. So that's going to be density times volume. So 11.3 grams per centimeter cubed times 6.7 centimeters cubed. So now I'm going to be multiplying. 11.3 times 6.7 would give you 75.71 grams for your mass. So now that I'm solving for mass, I'm going to have grams here instead of centimeter or grams per centimeters cubed. So I could have done one of two ways. I could see what cancels out, or I could just look on my formula sheet to see what my final unit is going to be. So that's the definition for density and how to solve for density using the steps that you are going to be required to do for the equations in here.